Hello, my name is Alexander Adeyemi. This presentation is on race, identity, and perspective authorship through the eyes of the author, Americana, Chamana Ngozi Adichie. Adichie is a very powerful poet, writer, and playwright who has made many great books like Half of a Yellow Sun and also my favorite, my personal favorite, Purple Hibiscus. If you haven't read that, then you should definitely go look into it. All of her books have a general consensus around strong feminine women who learn to deal with the raging world of racism and identity. This is not left out in her book Americana, which explores the diverse differences in both Nigeria and America in the idea of being a black African woman. The first thing addressed in the interview on Economist is identity, in which Adichie addresses this by saying race is fluid, basically saying that you are all versions of yourself, while one may be highlighted more in certain areas. I love this because identity can be self given or it can be given in different situations. The same way that in college I am called Alexander, which is my formal self, more for education. While in the army, to strip me of my identity, they may call me private, which I would then have to make my identity strictly the army. Then I'll just go home and be called Lil Stank because of an occurrence that happened years ago. But I'm still remembered for it, and that's my highlight, not my ability to thrive in college or my mental fortitude in the army. This doesn't stop at home, though. It can also cause tension at the airport or create an economic boundary for people to cross because of their race, as Adichie explains later in the interview. Identity is important because it governs how you live. With identity comes the need to express your identity or yourself to others. But sometimes it can also be someone else's story to tell. In an interview, Adichie expresses her thoughts on the overabundance of other voices telling the stories of minorities, and I definitely agree with her. To tell a story, one may need to embody a different identity. I feel like this can truly help others understand another's culture or ways, and this different perspective can make what was once scary in the dark come to light. This can also be detrimental too. Just because you embody another's culture does not mean every bit of another's culture becomes accessible to you. That was a bar. The best place to get information is always from the source. With so many people trying to tell the story of another's culture, it can force others to become less informative on the culture, furthering the misconceptions already shrouded in mystery. Although this is not always forced, as she states, real storytellers never start out deliberately to offend, is what she states. And I agree. The entire purpose of writing is to tell your perspective on something. It maybe expose a little truth on the subject, whether it exposes misconceptions or the actual truth of what's going on. The whole objective is to still tell your story. The last thing that I really wanted to address is race and how understanding she is on it. I especially love that when looking into things, she pays more attention to context and intent. Many times, the older generation or people who are not into the culture are not truly racist or toxically masculine, but are truly just uninformed. The same way that if I only see a bulldog bite and kill people on the news, I'm going to assume that they are natural born killers. But if you've ever seen a pit bull, they are the most lovely dogs. Another thing she addresses is people's willingness to inform. She says if it is not your job to teach them, then who is going to do it? I love this because first it shows again how understanding she is, and also I agree because generations do not move as they used to. During the early 1900s, yeah, that's kind of crazy that I can say that now. Technology did not allow people to communicate as quickly. So what was considered safe to say back then is definitely not hip now. So to protect everyone, maybe we should teach them. It's not as though many of them don't want to learn what their grandchildren or children are doing.